Hi, I'm Cheryl O'Donnell from the Toronto Knitters Guild, and I'm here with Legacy Lane Fibers uh, and Allison. Just one. Welcome, Allison. Uh, would you like to tell us a bit about yourself and your business?
Certainly. Thank you very much. Super excited to be a part of the frolic this year. It's our first year participating, and I've heard lots about it and the in-person one and good things about the faux frolic. But anyway, I would like to say thank you very much for having us be a part. My name is Allison Brown, and I co-own Legacy Lane Fiber Mill with my sister, Amy Carpenter Tonning. This is our 16th year of being fiber processors. We started out very small in the basement of my sister's home in 1,100 square feet with a Belfast mini mill setup. We operated out of the basement for about 5 years and then grew enough to expand. The dream was always to offer more services other than just fiber processing. I'm a textile artist, and Amy has strong interest in the business as well as farming. So it was a perfect mesh of the two interests to process fiber. So it was always the goal to expand. So we moved into our town, Sussex, New Brunswick, and we occupy now a 5,500 square foot building where we are still a custom fiber processing mill. So we process for fleece producers across Canada, into the US. We have a few international clients, but we also offer services such as weaving. So our fiber producers can send us their fiber. We can transform it into value-added products like yarn and felt, but we can take their yarn and add it into woven products. So we do a variety of different woven products. We've also expanded now into a knitting studio. So we do machine knitting for them as well. So we can offer them knitting services, dyeing, so it's kind of like a one-stop shop for them. They can send us their fiber and have it transformed into finished product, woven product. We're just yarns that they can sell in their boutiques. And we also, the most recent expansion for us, which is really exciting, is a brick and mortar. So our studio got bigger, and we had a store on site at the mill, but it was just small and it was shared with studio space. So our studio expanded and the store moved down to a more central location because we're in the industrial park here in Sussex. So that's really great for us because we now have our own kind of more public facing store that we sell our own products out of. So our own yarns and fiber products, weaving, knitting, and then other fiber art stuff, spinning fibers, punch needle. Yeah, so it's been an interesting journey. That's a little bit about us.
Wow, and how many employees do you have?
We are currently sitting at, if we look at the store, we have a full-time store and 2 part-time down there, so 3 there. My sister and myself do kind of operations. We have an admin, so there's another 3 of 6, and then 4 in the mill.
Wow.
So we're about 10.
So
And we are an all-woman team, other than our father who comes in and helps with some of the machinery needs.
that's great. That is
Yeah.
great. Um, so my next question, I was going to say, what makes you unique? But what you just described sounds like a very unique sort of beginning to end sort of fiber business.
Yeah.
The
I would have to agree with you. I think one of the other kind of important factors for us in our product is that we really try to focus on Canadian fiber as much as possible. Certainly some of our blending fibers are imported just because they don't grow and can't be really processed into fiber form here in Canada. We don't have the processing facilities, but we do try to really promote Canadian alpaca. That would probably be, I would say, out of the fiber that we process, 90% of what we're putting through our specialty has certainly been alpaca and has been since day one. So Canadian alpaca, and those are the yarns that we really try to put out that we sell as a Canadian product, with different blending fibers, and also that fiber to finish service to fleece producers is certainly, and kind of our own in-house, we're starting with raw fleece for our own products that you would buy, whether it be a skein of yarn or a woven blanket. We've prepared it from start to finish. So certainly those are two very unique factors for us.
So you mentioned doing woven products. Do you tell me a bit about your store and what you sell through your store? Like in my head, I see you having your own business and then you doing things for other producers. So I'd like you to talk a bit about what it is you do and sell in your own store, but then also maybe talk about some of your clients if you would like.
Sure. And you're right. We are kind of, in a sense, two businesses, actually more than two businesses, when you break down the services that we offer. But we were first and foremost a processing mill, and that was kind of our original start or seed. It was always my goal to be doing weaving and knitting and dyeing because of the fiber artist in me. So we have the mill, and then our store basically is selling everything that we're offering to our clients. We're kind of like a client ourselves from the mill. So we sell everything from roving to yarn in its natural colors. Alpaca comes in 22 natural colors, so we like to have a nice variety of natural colors, but we also do dyeing for ourselves. So we do a lot of ecru yarns and then do some painted dyes and solid dyes. So yarn is a big product for us. Dryer balls and insoles are another big product, two products for us that are extremely popular that we also make for our fiber producing clients. So we're really very much like a client of ourselves.
Okay.
We sell everything from woven scarves, shawls, rawanas, throws, blankets in our shop and a lot of the fiber that we use in our products, we are purchasing from our fiber producing clients, whether they perhaps don't want to process their fleece this year, or they're a big enough firm that they can split their harvest and sell us half and use half for themselves. So a lot of the products that we are also selling is purchased from Canadian producers. We sell a lot of hand knit. We employ ladies in our community. So we provide them the yarn and the pattern, and they do the hand knitting for us, which they think is great because it's a few less church sales that they have to go and sit through. They're going to be knitting anyway. So whenever we find a new knitter, they say, what, you're going to give me the yarn, the pattern, and you're going to pay me as soon as it's knit? So we have lots of hand knit products. But then we have also developed a line of machine knit products, which are wholesale products for us as well. So that's another business that we kind of occupy, is we offer all of these products that we retail, other than the hand knit stuff, as wholesale products to yarn shops and other gift shops, boutiques. Yeah, so those are kind of some of the things you would find in our shop.
You should definitely do a little leaflet about where you started and how you grew over the years and where you've gone. I have this picture in my head, and it's quite fascinating.
It's been a wild ride for sure.
Okay, so what are you working on right now that you're excited about, or that you your own self are making?
Me personally, when people ask me what I have on my needles, I usually answer with which set of needles. So I have several projects on the go. We just finished up one sweater, the rework. I'm not sure if I can pronounce it properly, but it was a gorgeous knit. And currently right now I have another sweater started, a white pine sweater by Andrea Mowry. I have a set of socks on some needles, the rye socks by
Tin Can Knits.
Tin
Yeah.
Can Knits. And I have a shawl sitting. I haven't picked that up in a while. I think it's called the Correct Shawl. Helen, Helen something. So I have a few projects on the go. And here in the mill, we're gearing up for shearing season too. So that's always an exciting time of year because in May, the fiber from BC starts to trickle in. So their shearing season starts a little bit before us here on the East Coast. So right now we're kind of, creating space for shearing season. We process quite a little bit of wool this time of year. Not necessarily as much alpaca fiber because we have to switch our system over when we do wool and alpaca, mostly the washing. The washing process is a little bit different for the two fibers. So we're doing some really nice rambouillet wool, which is always a challenge, a good challenge because I feel like I'm learning again. So that's pretty exciting for us in the mill. And we're starting to work on our specialty products for the frolic. So that's very exciting.
So how about you tell us a bit about that? I'm sure people watching this would be very interested.
Sure. Well, one of the frolic offerings that we're going to be doing is a 20% off site-wide code. So that can be found in our vendor profile, as well as a specialty dye lot, a painted dye lot called Frolic, and it will be a worsted weight yarn. And I haven't quite decided on the specialty blend weight yarn, but just as a little hint to what that blend will be is we intend on including recycled pop bottle as one of the blending fibers in that yarn. So we'll be getting that ready for the machines probably next week is the goal, to get that spun and ready to be, I think that's also going to be dyed. I'm not sure, I'll see how the color turns out, but the pop bottle is kind of like a brown. It's exclusively brown bottles that are used. And we'll probably blend that in with a white. So it might come out kind of like an oatmeal, which could be over dyed. So we might leave it at crew.
So a little bit more about this pop bottle yarn, I guess.
Sure.
So what would is the pop bottle then considered? I guess what's the material?
It's a polyester. It's a plastic.
And
So
what would it do with the other that you're mixing it with? Like what would be the characteristic of the yarn?
Well, it's got a high crimp. But what it will offer would be similar things that nylon would offer.
Okay.
Or so my guess is it will be made into a sock yarn. So we'll probably blend it with a little bit of alpaca, just because we always like to put some alpaca in. We try to, and a higher content of merino. So probably a merino alpaca pop bottle blend sock yarn, and it would kind of serve as that nylon purpose of adding strength and durability.
Okay, and the other two definitely add softness and cush,
memory and
Oh,
warmth and all things wonderful.
You'll have to definitely highlight that on your web internet or web page for us.
For sure. I'll try to get lots of pictures of the process as well to share with everyone. And then one last thing that we are going to be offering for the frolic is a virtual mill tour. So doing kind of a walkthrough of our process, basically from the time we open the box to the time we box it back up to head out to back to the farm. And perhaps what I'll do is include a little walk through our shop too.
Oh, that would be great, because then people can see, oh, there's something on that third shelf, the second level down. What is that? So
yes, exactly.
Yeah. So be ready for those kinds of questions.
Awesome.
Now, I think you brought some stuff in to give us a little peek at what you have.
Well, I certainly brought in one of our most popular products in for yarn specifically. We've got a few very popular products. Our Alpaca Insoles are, there's just no better treat for your feet. That's kind of the slogan for us. And also our alpaca dryer balls. So those are two huge products. I don't have them to show, but I did bring in a few skeins of one of our most popular yarns. Just give you can you see that there?
Yes,
So
yes.
this is called kitchen sink Lopi. So it's a Lopi weight yarn. It's a single ply bulky yarn. And the reason we call it kitchen sink is because it's kind of like the kitchen sink. There's all kinds of different fibers. So everything from a little bit of alpaca, merino, some bamboo, throw in some tencel, maybe some silk noils. So it's kind of like the kitchen sink in that regard. And it's also very much like the kitchen sink in that it's one of a kind. So every skein is one of a kind. There are no two skeins that are the same. And the length and for the yardage specifically is enough to do a project. So it's really popular for us it's a really quick knit, bulky, nice chunky needles. It's also, it variegates in color. So you start with one color, which transitions into another, So that's always, it's kind of one of the things that we hear. It's really exciting. People want to just keep knitting it because you don't know what color is going to come next.
Yeah.
And it also, that speed in which that nice gratification, quick knit. So it's very popular for us. It's one of our biggest retailing yarns, and it's also one of our biggest wholesaling yarns.
Oh, that looks great.
Yeah.
So we're getting close to the end of the interview, and here comes the question. What would you wish people would ask you that they don't?
I think a lot of people assume that, and I didn't know if I was gonna struggle to answer this, but I think a lot of people assume that we buy the yarn and sell it. So that we import it from large mills, industrial mills, from overseas, and they often assume that we haven't made it. And that's one of the I guess just to have that that conversation is very important. We find in our store when we do retail shows or when we're out in public and we say, oh, well, no, we made this yarn. And a lot of people are always oh, I didn't realize that you actually made it. So that's kind of one of the things that I wish people thought about a little bit more, maybe had that conversation a little bit more, but I think it's one of what I try to tell my staff and for myself to really try to remind people that we're starting from raw, and the yarn that you are purchasing was processed by us.
So Canadian grown, Canadian processed, Canadian made yarn.
Yeah.
So we know that you have your own retail business and you're a client for your own self. Are there any other yarn producer, I don't know, you're the producer, dyers or sellers that you make yarn for or other products for that you'd like to highlight for us?
I know 100% just because I checked when I was scrolling through the vendor list, Green Gables alpacas.
Oh.
We just finished her product, Janet Ogilvy, and she has gorgeous fleece, and yeah, so we were the processors for her beautiful yarns with her animals fiber.
Perfect. I often wish that, like, when you go to a site, they would say, like, identify the mill where it was processed from, so you know that, well, not pedigree, but the fact that it is, Canadian done.
Some people do. We do have quite a few clients that give us shout outs, which is really nice, because I think ultimately celebrating each other's successes what will see us grow and what will have our industry and the natural fiber industry flourish by lifting each other up and being proud of, you know, that's, it's such a, we also find it, you know, once you start knitting with natural fibers, you don't ever go back to the acrylics.
I know.
Usually you very rarely do. And I mean, there's a price difference in those too. And educating and talking about the work that goes in
Hmm.
to having natural fiber being offered to us. It's you know, there's a ton of work from the farmers raising the animals to the shearers to the mills and then to the dyers, the weavers, to the knitters. I mean, there's so much work that is involved in it, and celebrating each other is really important.
Uh, this has just jumped into my head. We talked about you supplying product back to farmers and whatnot, but you also, like if somebody's a dyer and is looking for a Canadian made fiber to do their dye work on, do you sell that sort of thing as
We
well?
sure do. Yeah, we have a whole wholesale line of ecru yards
Okay,
in
great.
a few different blends and weights.
Perfect, perfect. It's interesting. I started buying more local yarn, and as I'm doing it and learning more about it and learning about the different mini mills that are in different spots around Canada and everything, it's like we have this whole industry here, and I don't know whether it's been here and we've not necessarily noticed it, or in recent years it's really started to grow and now you see it. But it's nice to
I
know.
think it's a little bit of both.
Hmm. I
I
think
think
there's another one of your fellow mill mill people in, I can't remember where they are, but they're starting to do something about Canadian, like this whole thing about Canadian yarns and Canadian
raising awareness.
awareness of production and whatnot. Yeah, yeah. So it's really it's growing. It's growing.
Yeah, it definitely is. And there's also a big growth in kind of wanting to buy a little bit more smaller scale
Hmm.
yards.
Yes, stuff that isn't traveled around the world and back again twice to be made
Yes.
and gotten to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, just as we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to tell us? I just want people to remember that you're offering some great things on the Frolic weekend, and there'll be the mill tour popping up.
Yep.
Um, and that'll be before the weekend and through it as well. So people can look out for that.
Yeah, we have an Instagram takeover happening too on your site. I'm just waiting on confirmation of the day. I think it's the 21st of April, so we'll be doing that to keep an eye out for that. By then we should have our specialty colorway dyed
Oh,
and
great.
our specialty yarn. And we'll do lots of product shots. And other than that, we're just really excited. To be a part of it and want to thank all of you guys for the incredible efforts to be able to, you know, in the COVID climate, we're starting to unlock, but it's really nice to have the effort still put through with the faux frolic. And so that's, you know, it's wonderful to be a part of it, and really want to thank you guys for all the hard work you are putting into making sure that we have something like this to participate in.
Well, great and welcome. And I look forward to seeing all your other material and doing a little shopping.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Cheryl.
You're welcome. Bye bye.